And let's take a look at an example of what I'm talking about. So this is Sexy Red.
Throw that ass, you know you a hoe. Up and down, that booty gon' go. Twerking on your baby daddy, he finna lick my booty hole. I'm looking sexy, I'm looking fine.
All right, let's pause it. Just in that first little section alone, just in that first few seconds, this is how the song is starting. What's up, everybody? What is going on? This is Cesar Hernandez, aka Coach C, and welcome to the Values Nation podcast, episode number 3. Today, I'm very excited because we're going to dive into a lot of things that I don't think many people want to talk about. And the reason that is because it's the things that we're going to speak about are so embedded into our culture and so embedded into who it is that we think that we are. And so as we dive into these things, I hope that you're ready for a ride. We're going to go on a little bit of a roller coaster, and I'm excited about it because I think it'll help a lot of people if they pay attention to what I'm trying to say. And so let's talk about it. But before we get into the actual episode and what we're going to talk about, I'm going to take a few questions. So I put a few stories out, and I asked some people on social media if they had any questions in regards to personal development. And the answers that came back were very interesting. And I want to put these two questions ahead because you wouldn't think that they're related to personal development per se, but I think that they really are. So we're going to go ahead and get started off with a question from Alex. And Alex asked, what books or resources do you recommend for learning about creating marketing funnels? Now, you may be asking yourself, what does marketing and personal development and in improving yourself and values have to do with anything? I think it has to do with everything. I think that they are a big, big part of personal development. You see, this gentleman is asking because he is trying to build a business. He is trying to grow himself in a way that is not just financially, but also his mindset. He wants to learn about what can I utilize, what books can I read, what sort of things can I use to really improve my business and my life. So, Alex, I wanted to answer this question with the best resource that I could possibly give to you. The book that I would recommend is Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. It's part of a 3 or 4 part series now. You have Expert Secrets, you have Traffic Secrets, and you have .com Secrets. And I believe there's another one outside of that as well. But I would actually start off with Expert Secrets. If you want to know how to do marketing, if you want to know how to create funnels, sales funnels, upsell funnels, high ticket funnels, all sorts of different types of funnels, you can find it in that book. What I'm going to tell you, Alex, is that because you asked that question, we're going to talk a little bit more about that in form of a story that I'm going to tell in a second. But great question. Thank you for asking it. Eric asked, how does self-improvement equate to making more money? I'm going to repeat that one more time for those you didn't hear it in the back. How does self-improvement equate to making more money? Well, in order to answer that, Eric, I have to tell you a little story. So back in 2010, I'm sitting around and I'm just not happy with where life is. At the time, I'm making about $25,000 a year, supporting my 2 children by myself, and just not feeling good about life. Just not feeling good about anything that's really going on. Not making the money I want to make. I'm out of shape. I'm dealing with anxiety and crippling depression. I'm dealing with panic disorder. So I'm driving my car and panic attacks are just hitting me left and right. I can't go to the gas station to pump gas. And I feel like I can't even walk around the corner to check my mail. And that really was just at a point in my life where I just said, man, I don't want this anymore. Right. And so what I decided to do was I decided to take a different route and to actually go and create something that I was going to be proud of. And what was that first thing that I was going to create? It was me. It was a new me. It was a brand new Cesar. It was a brand new person before Coach C ever came around. And so during that time, I spent the next 90 days working out, staying home, doing personal development. I literally quit my job, stayed home, and focused on me. And what that became was a person that had more clarity, a person that was able to look at situations a different way, a person that was able to do things in ways that I hadn't done before. There was a real shift and change in my mindset because I started surrounding myself with the proper things, the proper mentors online, the proper terminology, the proper verbiage that I needed to be able to speak things into my life. There were so many things that I did that pivoted into growing businesses. Do you understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, if you're trying to grow a business, if you want to make more money as a man, if you want to get a better job, improve yourself, because what it does is it gives you different angles to see from. It gives you a different vantage point. It gives you a different mindset that you can take into the marketplace and either sell products or sell the ultimate product, which is yourself. So if you're sitting there and you're making 50 grand a year or 40 grand, or maybe like I was and was making $25,000 a year, and you just improve the way that you walk, you improve the way that you talk, you improve your physicality, you improve your vocabulary, you improve these things about yourself, what starts to happen is people start to take notice. People start to take notice, and guess what happens as a result of that, Eric? Opportunities start to show up at your door. Some people want to call it the law of attraction. Some people want to call it whatever they're going to call it. I just think that people are attracted to people that have something going on. People are attracted to people that have great attitudes. People are attracted to people that are willing to make the investment in time in themselves. One thing I will say is during those days, I listened to a lot of Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn is one of these old school personal development people that I absolutely love to listen to, even to this day. And every time I listen to Jim Rohn, he spoke in regards to seasons. He spoke in regards to times of your life that are just amazing. Never get fooled into thinking that summer's going to last forever. Understand that winter is right around the corner. Understand that there are going to be times that you're going to be up and down. Understand that sometimes your mindset's going to be great and other times it's going to be trash. So what do we do to try to give ourselves the greatest advantage when it comes to personal development? What do? We consistently wake up every single day and make ourselves 1% better than we were the day before. 1% better than we were the week before, the month before, the year before. And what that snowballs into is better attitudes. You're articulating your words better. You have more clarity of mind. You are feeling better because you're losing the weight, or you're tightening and toning, or you're building that muscle, or and now you're walking around in different clothes. You just have a different flow. And when you have a different flow, it puts off a different energy. And when that different energy gets put off, guess what? People are attracted to it. Better jobs, better opportunities. And I'll wrap up with this. When I lost 70 pounds during that time that I was focused on myself, when I lost that weight, I lost a lot of mental weight as well. And as a result of that, I went back into the marketplace, back to my job. And I was at this job for many years. And I happened to pick up a call one day. And the call was from another business that was calling my job for a particular question. And because of my energy on the phone, my willingness to help him when nobody else had, that person happened to be a multimillionaire that recruited me for a job and paid me way more than my job was currently paying me. You see how that happens? It is funny what happens when you have a great attitude. It is funny what happens when you just can separate yourself from the rest of the people who are feeling like crap, talking like crap, thinking like crap, and not really wanting to progress in life. They settled in. This is what it is. This is just what my life is going to be. But you become somebody of energy. You become somebody that actually has positive things to say. You become that one person that can see that the glass is half filled rather than half empty. I'm telling you right now, personal development pivots into more money naturally. And as a man, when we're speaking about being a provider and protector, the best thing that you could do for your kids, the best thing that you could do for your wife, the best thing that you could do for your family is become a bigger, better, stronger version of yourself. I hope that answers your question, Eric. And I hope in some way this could be the beginning of your journey. All right. So now, man, I want to dive into some things today that are going to ruffle up some feathers, and that's okay. And that's what I'm here for. That's exactly what I'm here. I'm not here to sugarcoat it for you. I'm not here to kind of sort of be like, hey, maybe we can work this out. Let's really get into the weeds of what's going on in today's world. Let's get into the weeds of what is going on in culture and how you and I can make a difference in this world. I have a sneaky suspicion that if you're watching this channel, you want to make a difference in your life. And you maybe have some conviction about what that means for other people in your life and possibly even your country. So let's get into it. You know, we protect our children from a lot of different things, right? And it is important for us to understand that protection happens on multiple levels. It's not just protecting them from getting hurt, protecting them from a boy coming and trying to date them, protecting them from, and it's shady situations and going to parties and doing that sort of stuff. There's multiple levels that are happening of protection that we need to be aware of. That is happening physically, that's happening mentally, that's happening on all sorts of different levels. And I want to speak to that and I want to talk about that today. So there's no way to cover all of these topics in one podcast. So I'm just going to cover, a handful of them, and then maybe we can get into another one or more of those subjects further down the line. Okay. So let's start off with the first one. This is a big one. Entertainment. This right here is a massive, massive issue going on today. Now, before I get into today's music, I want to tell you about myself. And I want to use myself as the example as to how entertainment can really have an effect and impact on a young person's mind. Now, a lot of people will look at this and hear this and say, well, Caesar, that's your experience, but that's not what happened to me, or that's not what I thought or whatnot. But I can guarantee you at some level, entertainment had an impact subliminally in your mind, or maybe it acted out in your life. And a lot of us just don't want to admit that. I'm going to admit it, and I'm going to tell you. When I was younger, and I was about 15, 16 years old, I started listening to a lot of Bone Thugs and Harmony and Tupac, Shakur, Biggie Smalls, and all these other people. And that music resonated with me because it was resonating with my traumas. It was resonating with the things I had not worked out yet. You see, I was a kid, I was lost, I had no father. And so every time I heard a song about the things that I was doing to try to deal with that, it resonated. Give you an example. When it comes to Bone Thugs and Harmony, every time I turned on the song, Buddha Love Us, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm sitting there smoking my weed. It's allowing me to ignore my pain and to just be there in that moment, smoking weed and not having to deal with it, not having to think about it. Even to this day, I could turn on that song, and my first inclination is to start to sing along and to go along with it. That is a song that I would never play around my kids. Because I had these songs speaking into my traumas, speaking into these places and these areas of my life that I had not worked out yet, it put me in positions that were compromising, or put me in positions where I was getting in trouble. So I started to smoke more, started to drink more, started to party more, started to do these sort of things because the guys on TV, back then we had VHS and TV and MTV and that sort of thing and BET. So as I'm watching these guys on TV. So as I'm watching these guys on TV, it showed me an example of what I could do in my own life because I had, again, not worked out these things. So next thing you know, I'm walking around dressed like these guys, wearing similar clothes to these guys, acting like these guys, talking like these guys, and going down paths that I shouldn't have because I was so impressionable and I didn't have a father to come and tell me, Caesar, that is not real. It's just not real. What you're watching is fiction. What you're watching is a representation of the worst stuff from the worst gutters of our country. That's the truth. And the reason I can say that is because I come from places like that. I understand that mentality. I'm from the hood. I'm from those areas in which this music is inspired by. And so I just want to tell you that when I'm speaking about these things, I'm speaking about it from a perspective of somebody who was in it, understood it, bought into it, and was even doing it to the next generation myself. I became a rapper after a while. I was making music. I was putting out things that were destructive and that were speaking to some of these kids' traumas. And so as I fast forward to today, and I'm thinking about the music today, and I think we can all agree, yes, music back in the 90s and the early 2000s, 100%, a vast majority of it had a lot more substance than today, 100%. But I think that there is even correlation with the way it was yesterday. What today, it's just advanced more and deteriorated at a higher level. I'm talking about the music that we're listening to today and the music that the kids are listening today. You got to guard your children from it. It is literally got to the point where these artists and these performers are doing anything for clicks, shock value, and it has no real point to the music. I'm going to give you an example, and we're going to pull this up on the screen. And this is an artist today that is very popular, that they are pushing and making sure that she's getting to the top of the charts. I would not be surprised if she's winning Grammys pretty soon, if she hasn't already. And let's take a look at an example of what I'm talking about. So this is Sexy Red.
Throw that ass, you know you a hoe. Up and down, that booty gon' go. Twerking on your baby daddy, he finna lick my booty hole. I'm looking sexy, I'm looking fine.
All right, let's pause it. Just in that first little section alone, just in that first few seconds, this is how the song is starting. Here's what I know. What I know is we have less productive distractions now. So here's what I know. We have less distractions because the internet has taken most of our attention. And what I mean by that is we have less productive distractions. We have plenty of distractions when it comes to YouTube and the internet and all these artists and people like this that are coming into our homes and are giving all of this trash into our kids' brains. And they really aren't playing outside like they used to. They're not really going and getting active like they used to. They're stuck on their phones, even if they're playing sports and they're doing things that were traditionally the things that distracted them and kept them on a good path. Well, guess what? During the recovery time, during the time that they're not playing sport, during the time that they're at home, they're watching this crap. And we are allowing them because it's no big deal. They're in the room. They're just off to the side. They're not in our hair. Parents, I'm trying to give you a call to action and let you know that it is time to take a more proactive approach in your kids' lives. In the music, the social media, streaming services like Netflix, Disney Plus, all of these different streaming services, music that you play around them, movies that you allow them to watch. We have to take a bigger interest in this. We have suddenly turned into a culture in the name of inclusion, or allowing our kids to be in front of content that is spreading ideas that are terrible, that are spreading ideas that are talking about it's okay if you want to be a girl, but yet you're a boy. Yes, I'm talking to the trans movement people right now. That is a mental disorder. That is something that they're struggling with. Am I trying to chastise or to criticize or to put them down? I'm merely saying that these people are hurting. And we are in a time where culture is telling them that it's okay. Culture is telling them every feeling that you feel It's completely fine. Everything that you want to say, it's completely fine. Everything that you want to do. You want to transition when you're 7? Of course, because you know exactly what you want. And the parents out there that are feeding into this stuff, the parents out there, these people have obviously not worked this stuff out in themselves. Otherwise, they would not be doing this to their children. We're meant to provide and to protect our children. And at this level, when it comes to the entertainment, we're letting the ball drop. You may be sitting there and saying, "Hey, Coach C, I think you're taking this a little too seriously, man. I mean, it's not that serious. We kind of play it in the background. Nobody thinks it's real life. Nobody gets influenced by it." I'm here to tell you that that's absolutely wrong. I'm here to tell you that it is going to get and penetrate into your mind, into your children's mind, into the culture of how things are. It's gonna bleed into your value system. And anybody that denies that, just take 5 minutes and pause from that when it's going on. Step back and look at what it's doing to your family. Just take a step back. Try to be objective about it. Try to look at it. Why don't you go read those lyrics? Let's play that one more time and let's continue to let's bring that video up one more time. Let's just keep going in the song and see what else substance our kids are listening to. Let's see what else the great Sexy Red has to say.
My booty poking my pussy wet. I need a panty line. Ghetto bitch, so you know it's wet. Sexy. I never heard that my coochie wet. It's the best. I ride dick and I throw it back.
So let's pause it there. I was at a Dallas Mavericks basketball game and my heart broke because, you have the cheerleaders and then there was a group of very small little girls. I mean, these girls were probably, if I was to take a guess, maybe 8, 9 years old, all dressed up like cheerleaders. And they were sitting in a couple of rows ahead of me. And this song comes on. And they all of them, at the same time, in unison, jumped up and started twerking to this song. What are we doing to our children? What are we doing? We think that this is normal. We think we shouldn't take this serious. I'm here to tell you it's time to take back our families. It's time to take back their ears, their hearts, their eyes. It's time to take back what we should be doing and stop being complacent and lazy with the raising of our children. And guess what? Your children are not going to like you for it. They're not supposed to. We're not here to be their best buds. We're here to be their parents. We're here to be their guiders and protectors. When I think back to the years where my mom was trying to do that for me, when I think back to when my mom was trying to give me some advice and I was just a young kid, not wanting to hear her out, I now hear myself speaking, and I speak in a very similar way that my mom did because those lessons really took. Even though I was pushing her off and saying, "No, Mom, like you're just not cool like that. You just don't get it. You ain't got no swag. This ain't that serious. It ain't that serious." I'm here to tell you it is that serious. I'm here to tell you that it is something that you should be keeping your eyes on. You should be keeping your hearts. This should be keeping you up at night. How am I going to get my family and my children and my home and my environment to a place where we don't have to indulge in any of this? We don't have to be around it. We don't have to listen to it. We can listen to better things. We can surround ourselves with better attitudes and not create a culture in which this is just the norm. I want to speak real quick, to the Black and brown communities specifically. Where you come from is not who you need to be. This is not normal. This is not a great reflection of who it is that we are as people. I don't care how you try to argue it. This is not culture. This is not just what we do. This is not swag. This is not cool. This is not sexy. Sexy red is not sexy. You know what's sexy? Is a woman that is in control of herself. A woman that instead of trying to take everything off and show everything to you, she's trying to put it on and be conservative and know that that's only for her man. That's what's sexy. That's sexy. And we want to let our kids see this and think, oh, well, in order to be sexy, I have to be sexy red. You know what's a great man? A great man is someone that has control of his impulses. A man that doesn't have to listen to every single thing that comes across his mind, because sex comes across men's minds almost every minute of the day. And a man that's in control of that can say, I don't need to be doing all of that because it causes trouble. It causes havoc. It sets an example for my children that is just not good. Or it puts me in a position where I'm going to have 3, 4, 5 baby mamas. And this is someone speaking to you with 3 baby mamas. I have 3 baby mamas. I was that kid. I was that person. I didn't have a man in my life. I didn't have a father guiding me. And this is my way of saying, I've already lived this out. I've already done it. I've made the mistakes. Let's try to mitigate as much of this as possible. I refuse to allow my next generation of lineage, of my kids, to go forward thinking that their father still thinks that's okay. Walking the same, talking the same, doing the same things, it's not okay. We have to protect our children when it comes to entertainment. So before we move on, let me give you a couple of links. I'm going to post some links inside of the show notes of some woke corporations and companies that are allowing this type of stuff to happen all the time, right? So we'll provide those links. The other thing is real quick, like before we jump out of this, I want to kind of just give you some perspective. Let me show you who are the most streamed artists of all time. And you tell me if this is okay. You tell me this is not having an impact on American culture and culture across the world. Number 1, Drake. So we're talking about a dude that makes songs with a man that can't control his impulses, a man that has a twisted idea of what love is, and really says at the end of the day with his songs, unlimited sex, unlimited partying, emotions all over the place, side pieces, all these sort of things. Number 1. Number 2, Bad Bunny. I don't even have to get into that. Number 3, Taylor Swift. Here you go. She's wholesome, right? Yeah, of course. Because having so many exes and putting them in front of the world and writing a ton of songs about them and not being able to really do the work that it takes to have a stable relationship. The Swifties are going to come after me for this one, man. It is what it is. Just because she's in one relationship with a football player for more than 3 months doesn't mean anything. Do you understand what I'm saying? These are the most streamed artists. The Weeknd. Oh, God. The Weeknd. So you mean to tell me we could pop pills, drink, we could do all this? This is what's penetrating our homes. Justin Bieber. Is that a life that you would want your child to live? Let's be honest. Are any of these people that you would want to switch places with? I think we have a dysfunction of just watching things crash. I think we like to watch things crash. I think we like to see people who are doing this with their lives, who are tearing themselves apart. I think we like to see self-destruction because it kind of feeds something inside of us that has an inclination to do it. And those are the impulses that I'm talking about. You see, these artists are just blowing up because they're speaking to impulses that are deeply rooted in all of us. They're deeply rooted in us. Lust is deeply rooted in us. The desire to connect with other people that are having fun, that's deeply rooted in us. We have these impulses, sex, unlimited amounts of it, deeply rooted in us. All these sort of things and these impulses are what this music is promoting and pushing. Eminem, Ariana Grande, Kanye West, Travis Scott, Post Malone, Rihanna, BTS, Juice World. Don't even get me started on Juice World. Go watch the documentary and you're going to see what I'm talking about. Rest in peace to that guy. If somebody was around him, if he had somebody around him, he may still be alive. If he had somebody to tell him, this ain't it, bro. This ain't it. And yet, we're listening to his songs and allowing those songs to penetrate into our home and to our kids. And we're saying this is okay. Let's move on. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys a perspective on what is going on in today's entertainment culture. The next thing is that I want to talk about is probably something that most people wouldn't think about when it comes to protecting our children. You may think about this if you're more health conscious, but if you're not, I want to kind of put this on your radar. And look, I want to preface this by saying food addiction is a real thing and it's not easy to overcome. It is just not. You are up against billions and billions of dollars. I sounded like Trump right there. Billions and billions. You are up against billions of dollars of research, ingredients, chemical reactions that they're testing inside of these labs. Because trust me, your food is not being made on a farm. It's being made in a lab. When you pop open a bag of Doritos, you're eating 60, 70 something plus ingredients. And they've tested all of those ingredients to make sure that they're addicting enough. They have tested the way that Dorito will crunch in your mouth to give it that feel that you like. They have done their homework. They have spent billions of dollars because they get billions of dollars of profit. So they want to make sure that they can maximize the lifetime value. When we talk about business and we talk about lifetime value, it basically means like, how long is this customer going to continue to pay for? Like, how long is this person going to use my service, use my products, consume my food, whatever it is? How can we extend the lifetime of the customer? Are they with us 6 months, 12 months, or a lifetime? These food companies have us addicted to their food because they're adding all these ingredients. And what's happening is we may be protective of our children when it comes to getting a call because some kid at school bullied them. Oh, we'll get all upset about that. We will show up ready to fight somebody. We will show up, call off of work, speed over there, bust into the office if somebody's messing with our child. But the fact of the matter is that we are killing our children in our own homes. Let that sink in for a second. We are killing our own children in our own homes. By inviting the processed food in, by purchasing the processed food, anything in a bag, in a can, and anything that is in the aisles when you walk into the grocery store. Here's the easiest way to know you're killing your children with processed food. When you go shopping and you go to the actual aisles and buy most of your food there. Because you know what's on the exterior of that grocery store? It's all the good food. You go off to the left and you hit the what? Produce, fruits and vegetables. You curve around the corner, what do you hit? The meat department. You keep walking around, what do you hit? The dairy. Whole foods, natural foods, depending on what lifestyle you're in. You should be spending a very bare minimal time in the middle of those aisles. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is that we're getting the bulk of our food from the middle of the aisles because why? Because it's more tasty, it's cheaper, and we can spread our dollars more. And so in the act of trying to save a buck, in the act of trying to please an addicted palate to sugary foods, to processed foods, we are now compromising our children's health and their minds. So not only are we letting music poison their minds, but we're now giving them the food to also poison their minds. You know, there's been a lot of studies on processed food and the link between processed food, depression, anxiety, but even further than that, schizophrenia, manic, depression, manic moods. All of these sort of things have been linked to metabolic issues. Meaning what? Meaning that if the inside of you is not very good, your brain cannot function, and as a result of that, you get a chemical imbalance. But your brain doesn't naturally just do that. It's coming from your metabolism. It's happening as a result of not eating good foods. It's coming as a result of eating the processed foods. So we have to understand that there are many ways to skin a cat when it comes to food. And it always makes me laugh on how people really treat it like a religion. You know, when you start talking vegan versus a carnivore or something, like they fight like if it's a Muslim versus a Christian. I mean, it is crazy. What I am saying is to eliminate as much processed food as you can in your home. I don't care if you're going to be a vegan. I don't care if you're going to be a carnivore, if you're going to be somebody who's kind of a hybrid or you're just eating healthier things or just counting your calories a little bit more. Whatever it takes, you got to start to get back to whole foods. And this is a form of protection for your kids. It breaks my heart when I see kids walking around with unhealthy foods, full-blown sugar drinks. This is something that really, really breaks my heart, especially when I'm seeing that kid obviously is overweight. And we have gotten to a culture, we've gotten to a place in America that if you say that, oh, you're just being fatophobic. You're just being a misogynist. You're just being this and that and whatever other terms that they want to come up with. No, I'm being real. And that's not healthy. We have gotten so far because we are trying to say certain things. We're trying to say certain things because of inclusion. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. We don't want to do this. Let me tell you something. This is not skinny, fat, this is not about any of that. This is about being healthy. This is about having clarity of mind. This is about how do you want to get to the life that you want to get, and how do you want your kids to be able to do that? Are you so selfish that you refuse to admit that there could be some adjustments that are made there for your kids? And your kids can benefit for decades, for the rest of their lives. And guess what? The chain of that stuff happening, the diseases going on, dis-ease, break that word apart, dis-ease, diseases going on in your family. Don't you think we can mitigate some of that stuff by cleaning things up? What a blessing it is to be able to clean things up, not only for yourself, not only just for your clarity of mind and for your depression and anxiety, but to gift that to your kids. Again, I know what it's like to live like this personally. Myself. I am throwing myself into this. I know what it's like to deal with children who don't want to adhere to these things. My own children. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to deal with kids sneaking in food when you're trying to keep them healthy and they're sneaking in them snacks and you finding them wrappers all over the place. I know. It's hard. It's a struggle. It's not easy. This is just another way that we can protect our children, protect ourselves. You see, big food and big pharma work together. They can keep us sick. They can keep us unhealthy. We continue to buy their products, and we continue to need the treatment that their medicines can provide. Don't you see a correlation? And by the way, when you're unhealthy and you're not thinking properly, you're not as sharp. You're a little bit easier to control. I don't want to get deep into the weeds with the conspiracies, but if you're trying to destroy a culture, if you're just trying to destroy people, keep them unhealthy, keep them not thinking clearly. What happens when you get in shape? What happens when you feel good about yourself? You have more confidence, you're stronger. You're walking around with a different strut. And because of that, you're not making bad decisions. And when you're not making bad decisions, you're out there and you're actually making a difference in the world. Could it be that they don't want us to be strong and healthy because good health makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't make a lot of dollars? So this one might be a little harsher to deal with. And if you're frustrated already, you can just turn off the podcast and do what you got to do. We've talked about entertainment and protecting our kids from entertainment, from the music, from the movies, from all the things that are coming out today. That in the name of inclusion, in the name of acceptance, everything has been compromised. Everything from Netflix to Disney Plus, all these movies and these shows that are coming out showing despicable things, the music, we displayed that. We also talked about food, and we talked about the importance of just being able to get yourself to a healthier place, get your children to eat healthier, to choose better options. But the last thing I want to talk to you today about is you. Are you protecting them from you? Have you worked things out with you? Have you taken a look in the mirror and said, my trauma is destroying my family? Really think about that. What work have you decided to do? What work have you put off to the side when it comes to you? Are you thinking clearly? Can you say that your parenting is on point and you're happy with where it's at? Can you say that you've taken the time to do the work, to get over the things that have happened in life, to get over all of those really tough situations? I'm talking about the deepest, darkest secrets, the things that haunt you at night, the things that cause you to be triggered when you get around certain things, the anxiety that you carry. These are invisible walls. These are things that our children run into. You see, they may be running around the house, making some noise, and something that they do triggers your anger. And because it triggers your anger, you explode. Now, they're running around having a good time, just being a kid, but because you haven't worked on your anger, because you haven't worked on those things that caused you to be upset, they're hitting these walls, not understanding what's actually going on. They're dealing with your trauma because you refuse to deal with it yourself. They're dealing with your stuff because you refuse to let go. Are you talking bad about certain people around your kids? Are you spreading gossip to your own family? Do you just have a negative attitude? Do you just say and do things that even you think are terrible? Do you have a good relationship with yourself? Let me tell you something. All the quote unquote winners that I know in life spend very few time tearing other people down, spend very few moments I mean, it's almost non-existent because they're so confident in who they are and what they're doing and what they got going on. They don't have any time to spend on that. Are you spending too much time consuming content that is just terrible? Terrible. Are you watching shows online that are feeding into your trauma? Are you listening to the music yourself that are feeding into your trauma? Have you not dealt with a thing? Have you not had the conversation? Have you not tried to reach out to the therapist? Have you not tried to go get some help? Have you not went out and got the help that you need? Is it pride? Is it just that you just don't think that you need it? I'm good. I'm over it. I don't need nobody's help. I don't need to go through all that. You might just need to. Because what's happening is that same attitude, that same outlook, that same verbiage, that same way you carry yourself will be reflected in your children. Are you willing to see another generation of people like you? And if the answer is yes, you won. If the answer is, I don't know, there's some work to be done. What I encourage you to do is to find out who you need to be listening to, where you need to go, what conversations you need to have to get better and to become a better person. Don't buy into what culture is telling you. Start to question everything that you've known to be the truth. Start to take inventory of your life and start to say, were the last 5 relationships really their issue? Was it really their problem? Or was it me? Because the greatest common denominator in situations like that is what? Is you. So if you have an issue, it's you. Let me say that one more time for the people that didn't hear in the back. If you have an issue, it's you. Have you been running into the same walls for years and trying to figure out, like, why does this keep happening? Why do I keep attracting the same type of people into my life? Why do I keep attracting the same type of relationships that I know are no good for me? Why? Because you haven't worked those things out. So are you honest enough to say, I need to protect my kids from myself too? I want to say thank you. If you have watched this episode all the way to the end, you actually made it this far. I appreciate you because you are going to make a change in your life. It could be one, it could be multiple ones, it could be whatever it is, but you're going to make these changes in your life and you're going to do something that is going to impact the next generation. You're going to do something that's going to impact the people around you, and you're going to make the world a better place. You want to know how to stop the things that you don't like seeing in the world? You start at home. You start with your own children. You start with your own relationships. You start with your own internal dialogue. My friend, the power is in your hands. Stop waiting around for politicians, world leaders, bosses, people in massive organizations, big food, big pharma to solve your issues. Everything that you want to achieve and accomplish is on the other side of what you're willing to do to get there. It's on the other side of what you're willing to do to develop yourself as a person, to develop yourself and your character. There are a lot of things. I'm going to say this and I'm going to wrap this up. There are a lot of things that I wake up every single day and I have a list, an actual list of things that I know I need to work on. There are things that when I think about it, I'm just like, man, I just got to get better at this. I don't like this version of me when A, B, and C happens. When I wake up and I talk like this and I have this internal dialogue, I don't like that version of myself. I need to improve that. What book do I need to read? What channel do I need to zone in on YouTube? If I'm going to watch a movie, it's got to be for the betterment and the improvement of myself because I'm in that season of life. I need to improve, improve, improve. To wake up every single day and to say, yesterday is gone. I can't do anything about the past. Today is here. What am I doing in this moment, in this month, in this year that I can make my next 5 years be better? Let's end with a quote. If you want the next 5 years to be better than the last 5 years, do something different than what you just did. I don't remember where I picked up that quote. It might have been Jim Rohn. But you got to improve your life, and it starts with you. If you want to improve your life and your family's life and your children's life, it starts with you. Children, kids will do what you do, not what you say. This is Coach C. I'll see you soon.